This is the way we're going to introduce Isa. Isa Muhammad, a performing artist, Dearborn native, and an activist. He's been very vocal both through his performing art and through his political statement on social media. Isa, thanks for coming today. I know last time you were sick, you weren't able to make it.
Forgive me. I really wanted to make it last time, and I completely lost my voice. It was during Ramadan. I missed a couple of days from fasting. Like, alhamdulillah,
Ramadan Kareem. I wanted to ask you to tell us a little bit. I want to document some of your experience. Now, you've been in the heart and center of the protests taking place. Tell us, not everyone has been attending these protests. Tell us your point of view from inside this protest and your experience as an activist so far through this time.
Well, first off, I want to say that I appreciate people calling me an activist, but I truly don't feel like I do enough to even be called an activist. I show up to the protests. I just do what I can, But from showing up to the protests, what I have seen, because for most of the world, the Palestine situation is brand new to them. They're just now discovering it. For us, for a lot of us that grew up Muslim or grew up in America, Arab or Muslims, this is something that we grew up with, So we always were fighting for Palestine. I remember being a little kid, and we had in 5th grade in front of the middle school in the South End. I grew up over there, and in front of Solano, we were protesting free Palestine. I'm like, what are we doing standing on this corner? What's that gonna make? What kind of noise is that gonna make? But fast forward 14 years later, I'm in Washington, D.C., and there's a sea of people from all over the world, from every ethnicity, from every background, all cheering free Palestine, and people that have had enough with the current system and just taking a back seat and allowing people to completely destroy the fabrics of our society and to pin people against each other. So what I've been seeing at these protests, because just like David said, it's making a difference. I know people will say, what does going in the street and screaming do? I tell them, imagine if we weren't doing that, how bad it would have been. And imagine the pressure, or imagine without the pressure, how much more these people would get away with. And just like the Vietnamese or what was going on in Vietnam, it took many years. It took over 10 years of them fighting to get the liberation. This is the first time, because I also protested back in 2021, right? And there was also, like I said, for a lot of people that don't know, for them this is new after October 7, but Gaza was getting bombed in 2021 as well, and there was massive protests that came out of that. And during that time, I remember Joe Biden came to Detroit, and we protested, and I wasn't even planning to speak, but somehow I ended up with a mic and screamed until I lost my voice for the next 3 days from giving a speech. And Joe Biden was here, and when the reporters asked him, what do you have to say about this? He basically said, because he was testing one of the cars in the Ford factory down the street, he basically told them, stand in front of the car, and after I drive, I'll let you know how I feel. Basically just completely ignoring the situation. But now everywhere he goes, every time he tries to do anything, he can't get away from it anymore. And that's because now it's continuous. In 2021, after that protest, I said, I'm never going to protest again. I feel like this was a waste of time. I'm tired. After the next day, everyone went away. For me, I've been making music since 2017. And when I started making music, it was about this type of stuff. It was always about either political, or Palestine has always been something I spoke about. And I kind of got away from it after a few years, because I felt like I'm talking to an empty room. No one's listening. No one cares. But like I said, fast forward to 2024, the entire world is standing up. And to the people who are still thinking that it doesn't make a difference, what was the saying? I'm only one person. What could I do? Said 7 billion people. It takes us to come. Every individual has to make the decision that I can make a change and show up. Because if everyone says that they can make a change and they all show up and they're all on the same mission, then you will make a change. But if everyone is standing and saying, oh, I can't do nothing, I'm gonna leave it for the next person, you show up and it's just a few people. But even the few people that do show up, they make a difference.
Thank you. Before I let the audience join the discussion, I want to ask you, what are some of the epiphanies or things that affected you during the protest, things that you saw you weren't expecting, or things that stayed with you?
So I'm not sure if you guys seen on the news on the city of Dearborn 2 days ago, they stopped a car caravan. There was a protest we had, and basically we've done a few car caravans, and we'll ride through the streets. Ton of cars with the flags. We'll go on the freeway. Sometimes they'll drive a little slow, cause a little traffic, but that's a part of protest. And the point is disruption. Yesterday, all we were doing is driving down Michigan Avenue. We're gonna go to downtown, come back around. Nothing too crazy. As we're driving down Michigan Avenue, we're seeing a lot of cars and stuff going on. But I start seeing a helicopter. I'm like, I know that's not for us riding in this little 30-car caravan just driving down the street. And now I'm seeing undercover cars and I'm seeing all these different cruisers coming around. And I'm in the front, so I'm seeing everything firsthand. And we come on to 14th Street on Michigan Avenue just before Corktown. And I swear to God, I seen like no, it was probably like 14, 15 cruisers all swarm in, like 50 cops all jumping out of their cars and running to the car. I'm like, no way they're doing all this for. I had to turn around and make sure like more people didn't join. There's like 20 cars, 20 of us just riding slowly down Michigan Avenue with our flags out. And they shut down all the roads. They shut down entrances to the freeways. They shut down downtown. And I was like, bro, you guys really did all this just for us? At that point, I was honored. I was like, go ahead and arrest me. Make sure you guys get some good pictures, Thankfully, I didn't get arrested. Alhamdulillah. There was a few other people that did get arrested. They gave everybody tickets. They gave me a ticket basically they said blocking a lane and using an electronic while on my phone. So in my head, like the epiphany that I had is these people are really, really dedicated to completely silencing us and completely stopping us. And they're so scared that this little group of people just driving peacefully had them bring out the entire police force, fuel a helicopter. How much of our tax dollars got used for them to fuel that helicopter, for them to just drive over and watch us? All this, it's crazy because the people that call for peace are the people that are being subjected to the most aggression. The irony of it.
Right.
So what I've seen is that at the end of the day, the people protect the people, and the only way that change is going to happen is if we keep applying pressure and we keep fighting until change comes, because nothing happens overnight. Just like with anything, a tree is going to take many years to grow. And if we keep doing what we're doing, inshallah, we'll have a tree with many fruit that everybody could eat in, regardless of where you're from, what kind of, what your skin color is or what you believe in.
Thank you, Isa. Just to clarify for the recording, I heard that they were worried that you're going to block the Ambassador Bridge because that's what happened earlier in the day in San Francisco. Was there any intention for the caravan to block the Ambassador Bridge? Well, you're the leading car, so.
I was the leading car, but they just told me that to be in front.
Right. Any question from the audience for Isa? Comments? Okay, Isa, one more thing. I'm sure you were either came young or you were born in the United States.
Yeah.
You feel your young generation that has grown in the United States, usually not very engaged in politics. This gives a lot of hope, especially when Palestinian children see that and Arab children see that. They see, and children really all over the world, when they get an inspiration from American children actually being engaged and involved with social justice and political justice issues. Where do you feel this stems from? In 2021, the largest protest for Palestine came out. Mm-hmm. You would expect that Dearborn in the 60s and 70s, these are the most engaged people politically. But surprisingly, the youngest generation is the most engaged and coming out in droves for Palestine. What does this tell you? How do you reflect this message?
I always, because of the first generations that came here, they're just coming here for survival. A lot of them came with $20 in their pocket and the clothes on the back if they had that.
The famous story.
So a generation or two later, we're born and we grew up here, so we're full citizens. I tell people all the time, my family's from Yemen, and I am proud of my Yemeni heritage, but I grew up here. I'm a born American citizen. If I go to Yemen, they're going to make fun of me and call me, you know how like sometimes people make fun of people who come overseas, like over there, they're going to joke around like that. But in my heart, I love America, but to love America, I want it to be a country that I'm proud of. I want it to be what it says it stands for. And I want it to be a country that's not a war machine and going and destroying all of the world and causing havoc at the expense of our backs. Because I could get into it's a whole, deep conversation. But basically, I want the best for America, and the best for America is peace, is taking the better road, is changing of the system that applies, that basically takes advantage of its citizens. And our generation is a generation that's more connected more than ever. We have our phones, we have more resources to knowledge and history, and really being able to do the homework to know what's going on. And we're mad because at the end of the day, the last generation didn't do a good job taking care of America, and all this colonialism and all this war and the military industrial complex is done a number of on our society, and our generation is the one that's paying for it. So now they're making an economy full of young, angry people that have nothing but time now to protest and make stuff happen. Is going to make stuff happen.
Thank you. And
I'm sorry if I'm all over the place with these
no
answers.
problem. No, amazing. Who are some of your American role models?
My role models
from American history.
So I think the way I am is because I started listening to music when I was like in 7th grade, like really starting to listen to hip hop. And my first rapper that I was listening to was Tupac. And if anyone knows about Tupac, he was very F the system type of guy, but he spoke a lot of truth in his raps, and it was in a very aggressive, very blunt manner, straightforward, which, some people might get offended, but we're talking about people's lives and people being killed and massacred. I don't know. The biggest problem, I feel like sometimes people want to get on and have a very formal conversation. It's like, no, we got to get straight to the point, So a lot of my heroes came from like people like Tupac and people that just stood for justice, Malcolm X, of course. I would say Abraham Lincoln just a bit. Well, I don't know too much, but he's just a big guy to mention. But mainly like Tupac and Malcolm X for real.
Thank you, Esa.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.